Welcome to this week's episode of Fellowship in Essential Oils. Today we're diving into an essential oil that may not be in everyone's main collection, but hopefully we can unpack some amazing properties that this oil has for the body, the heart, the head, and the soul. This week we're exploring celery seed. I'm joined by Liz. How are you today, Liz?
I'm very well, thank you. I don't know. I'm looking forward to talking about celery seed. Can't say it because nobody ever does, and I think it's a lovely oil.
Yeah, it's an oil that seems to have come out and got a bit of a heyday. Do you remember a few years ago when celery juicing was the big thing? And everyone was drinking celery every single day. And I know that bar fridges were being converted into celery fridges, and because you need so much to actually make this juice. And then I think the essential oil kind of rose in popularity around the same time. It'll be interesting as we go through our discussion today. Obviously, similar plants or similar things, but an essential oil is never the same as the plant, is it?
No, but actually, with this one, not that dissimilar. Bear in mind that it comes from the seed rather than the plant, the leaves, I guess. Stalks,
Stalks,
stalk.
yeah, yeah.
But still, it has that same fresh, detoxifying nature as the plant does. That's its signature. And I'd say it's not one that I've studied the chemistry of closely, but I would be surprised if to find that it was any different. That things hadn't passed through distillation that were important and what have you. It's a very straightforward, easy oil to use.
Yeah, I know it does have a bit of limonene in it, which is always a good thing. Limonene has many, many benefits as well. But I find with celery seed, when we're talking about the body, this is one that's really, like we were drinking celery juice for the digestive benefits. I find celery seed can be really, really great for the digestive system. I've heard, people talk about it being good from one end to the other end and benefiting it all the way through. So how do you tend to use celery seed for the body?
Yeah, so digestive, but actually its primary function is on the urinary system.
Mm.
So if for example, oh, I don't know if I should have really checked with my husband before I said this, but I will. After he had his operation to remove his jaw, he'd had so much anaesthetic, and his body was quite traumatized, and he couldn't have a wee. And so we'll see that with people who've got like prostate problems as well, where there's urinary retention. Celery seed's very good at just relaxing whatever needs to relax. I don't know about the muscles down there, but whatever needs to relax to just let the water flow. And so likewise, if you've got a kidney infection or cystitis or any of those things, if you've got like an infection, you're going to want to add something like tea tree or cypress that's specific for the infection. But the job of the celery seed is to just take care of the urinary system.
Mm. So would you use it for someone who was just kind of wanting to maintain their urinary health, or is it more one you'd kind of reach for and go, okay, for some reason I'm having problems urinating. Now I need to apply it topically around that area, the lower abdomen to kind of help that flow a bit more.
I don't know the answer to that because I can't really think of a situation why you would want to take care of your urinary health. I can feel that coming back to bite me in the next couple of weeks. But I think probably the way to use it prophylactically, I guess, is what you're asking, would be a detoxifier generally. So, for example, it's very good for the skin that if the skin is compacted and puffy, if you've got puffy face, puffy eyes, people who are smokers or exist in very polluted environments and the skin just gets thick, all of that is really good. And because it's mildly astringent, it's not very astringent, but what it will do is take off the oil off the skin, so really clarifies the complexion. It's a lovely oil for that, and particularly for women of a certain age, of my age, where your complexion's starting to change and your skin type is beginning to change. It's very good for really kind of making it, refining the complexion. Excuse me. The other way that it's good from a point of view of detoxification is if somebody has things like rheumatoid arthritis or gout or any of those things in the system, it's very good at getting rid of the uric acid buildup. But also, within the British Pharmacopoeia, it's a specific in terms of actual clinical medicine, apothecary medicine, that celery seed is used, and this is celery seed, not celery seed essential oil, but celery seed is used for people who have problems with rheumatoid arthritis and depression together. So that the pain and the stiffness and all of the things that it's stopping them doing is getting in the way. And so the celery seed works on the two different systems. It works on the actual physical nature of the joints and the muscles and the limbs themselves to detoxify them, but it also detoxifies the dirtiness that comes with the emotions of having that kind of complaint.
Which would impact quite a few people as well. How would you, like, when we're talking about these urinary benefits and that detoxification, how would you normally use the celery seed in that way?
So I tend to use it mostly in a massage oil. So I mean, I probably have said this a lot of times. The British school of aromatherapy, we don't really use that term anymore, but it's sort of 10 years ago, everybody used it, as in somebody who comes through aromatherapy as a British student is very different to like an American aromatherapy or a French aromatherapy, in that we are taught that oils are used in massage. So part of our qualification is we don't just learn about the essential oils. We actually, I don't think it's the same anymore. So I will say we had to not only had to use the essential oils, but we also had to have a qualification in anatomy and physiology, which has served me very well, obviously, but also in massage. And there are certain oils that I would always put into a massage oil for rheumatism, for arthritis. This is one of them. The other one is anything with alpha pinene in, so pine or fir, and juniper. So all of those are very good for detoxifying the system. But likewise, if you were doing that kind of treatment and I'll say treatment because we're not allowed to say we treat, that's against the law, but if you're doing that kind of treatment and you wanted to make something for somebody's elbow for them to use day to day, then I would put it into an ointment.
Got you.
But
And when
likewise,
go on.
if I was using it in a moisturizer, actually, it's in my cleanser. I put a few drops in my cleanser to clarify my skin. So, just mix it into your normal cleanser or into your normal moisturizer. Maximum dilution of 3%. So it's easy to do. Just do your sums of what that works out. So think right, tablespoons or 5 ml is the way I do it. Is 3 drops. Whatever you've got in your cleanser. So your cleanser tends to be like 100 ml. Do the maths off there. And then you can just use it day to day. You don't have to think about it. So I like that. One thing that you highlighted, because it does have limonene, it doesn't have super, super high levels of limonene, but it does have limonene, which is one of those constituents that deteriorates very quickly. So IFRA, the International Fragrance Regulations Authority, says if there's high levels of limonene and alpha-pinene, actually, you should add a preservative or an antioxidant to it to protect it, because obviously if you make a cleanser and you come back to it 3 months later, that limonene will have deteriorated, which can cause skin sensitization. So massage oil is really good because you make it, you use it, that's it. It's not sitting there.
Yeah, yeah. I'm really interested, and I'll share a little bit about how I first discovered celery seed in a little while. But you say you use it all the time for like arthritis and rheumatism and things like that. Is it? Do you find in the aromatherapy community that a lot of people are using celery seed? Because before it actually popped up in my awareness about 4 years ago, I'd never heard of it.
Don't know the answer to that. I
Yeah,
don't hear people talking about it very often, so probably not.
yeah.
But it's obviously you get your click of oils, and this was one of my mum's favorite oils. She always used she used to talk to everybody about refining the skin because she sold pots of cream and into and she incidentally is why I have this beautiful skin. It's not just essential oils, it's genetics. So everybody used to say to her, what do you use on your skin? And she'd be able to sell pots of cream with celery seed hand over fist, because she'd said it. So that that goes into the psyche, doesn't it? And so that's become one of mine. But it's not really one that I hear people talk about. No.
Yeah. Does it have a superpower where it can do something that no other oil can do? Like, I'm quite interested in this idea. When it comes to the urinary system, juniper berry is always the oil that I think of first for any big issues. But is there anything where you kind of go, oh, we all need to have celery seed because this is a superpower and it does it like no other oil?
I don't believe there's many oils that do have those superpowers that say that nothing else can do it.
Yeah.
But in terms of what it does best, it's a detoxifier, and it's very good on an emotional level. And this is why I use it so much, because I am a very, very strong empath, and that can be very problematic to me sometimes. Um, I Because I move into the realm of wanting to feel what a plant feels, necessarily that changes my aura and my energy fields, which is fine day to day when I live in the countryside and I don't come into contact with that many people. But if I go onto a train or if I go into the city, it makes me ill because I just pick up so much stuff.
Yeah.
And celery seed really is good at protecting your energetic field and cleaning your energetic field. And in bee medicine, we don't talk about the chakras. We talk about what they're called roses and stars. They're not quite the same things, but they're energy centers, and they're to do with fluids. So, for example, we're talking about urine. But specifically, one of the nectars of the roses and the stars, the nectar of the cave, which is the heart chakra, similar, is we say understanding what is mine and what's not mine. And so this idea of detoxification is, well, this is mine, but this is not mine. So you can move on an auric side, on an etheric level. This is mine. This is not mine. The more you do spiritual work, the more you do magical work, the more you have to learn to be able to say, not mine, stay away. For me, there isn't a better oil. And I know that we talked about juniper and how I use juniper for cleansing, particularly if I disassociate. But this is more about, these aren't particularly malevolent energies; they're just other people's energies.
It's really interesting, and I'm kind of, things are lining up even more so today with our conversation. But obviously, where celery grows, it grows near water, near lots of salty marshes and that type of thing. To grow the plant, especially the type we find in the grocery store, requires large amounts of water. So it really does have within its energy a watery, flowing energy, doesn't it?
Yeah, and water, of course, is the flow of emotions, and it's flow.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the urinary system. That's very good doctrine of signatures to think that way. And as you quite rightly say, not only sort of water, but marshes and swampiness. So another application, when I talked about a sort of urinary retention, we could talk about premenstrual water, but particularly pitting edema. So if legs get injured and they swell up, and you can put your finger on it and you can see the white, and the white doesn't necessarily go away. That's pitted edema. Then again, very good for moving that out. But as in terms of superpower, fennel would do it. Cypress would do it. I feel like there's another obvious one. Juniper would do it. They're all those kind of things. And if you think, and it might not be obvious actually, if people haven't ever seen it growing, it's a very, very close relative to fennel. So it is Apiaceae, so it's the same kind of umbellifera plant. So it's not surprising that it and fennel and dill have very similar properties.
Mm. So let me share a little bit about how it came onto my radar. So one of the projects I'm working on, and one of my books that will be out in 2025, is a book that looked at working with essential oils and our astrological signs and our birth chart and so on. And so obviously because the planets of, the sun, the moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter and Saturn were, and still can be seen by the naked eye, they've been in our consciousness for a lot longer. Our ancestors worked with them. They've attributed a lot of plants to them. It wasn't until technology evolved and then we were able to locate Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. And so I find sometimes there's a bit of a struggle trying to find plants and thus essential oils that would be associated with those three planets. So I went on a deep dive one day going, okay, what can we connect to Neptune? And, found a few different things. And then celery came up. I was like, that's really interesting. Celery, okay, I guess it grows near water and that could be associated with Neptune. And it all kind of like, oh, that's good. Later that year, doTERRA actually launched Celery Seed. And I was like, that's really coincidental because only a few months beforehand, I'd first it popped into my consciousness and then there it is. So I find that Neptunian energy really comes in. And when we're talking on an emotional level, it's interesting. I love what you're saying about that holding on to emotions and being an empath. I think that's really, really powerful. And it would probably be a nice duet with juniper berry. But where I find it really helps us is in the area of non-comparison. And that we very much so, how much comparison there is in the world. We see it with younger people. They're comparing themselves to what they're seeing on social media. We're watching what other people are doing in our field of occupation and going, they're better than me, I'm not that good, all that type of thing. And I find celery seed is this beautiful oil to work with on this holistic level to bring in that kind of Neptunian energy, which Neptune is very, Neptune's smoking too much pot, and it's seeing everything it's just beautiful and inspired, and it's got those rose-colored glasses on. And I find working with celery seed can help you to see your beauty and get you out of that non-comparison state where you're going, well, I'm not that beautiful because I look at that person, look at what they're doing, and I'm not achieving that, and so on. So it's a really nice one because seed oils help to awaken different things within us, and celery seed will help to awaken the realization that you are different, you are unique, and you are beautiful, and there's no need to compare yourself to someone else because they're not cut by the same cloth as you.
I think that's bang on, and I think the more I do this kind of work, the more I come to the realization that I think maybe 10 years ago it was very trendy for everybody to be talking about what is your purpose. Everybody was selling what is your purpose, find your purpose. And it was really quite distressing to anybody who was like, I don't know what my purpose is, because there was this idea that your purpose had to be this grand dream. But I think that often your purpose is is very simply to be the most you that you can be, without taking on other influences, to try to strip away all of those layers. I mean, if you think about the way that a celery grows, you have to take that bit on, you have to take that one bit, you have to take that one away, you have to take that one away to get to the heart. You have to get to the heart of the celery. And I think that what you're saying is exactly right, that these things of purpose and these dreams, for example, aren't big dreams. They're just like, what are your natural abilities? What do you really enjoy doing? How to find a way to do that. That's what you do. That's what you were born able to do,
Because it's really interesting as well, because different things inspire different people and light different people up. So we're obviously not all meant to do the same thing. And, normally you're the one who's talking about bees, but I'm gonna put in a bee reference now. When we think about a beehive, most of the bees are ordinary, just worker bees that are just contributing to something beautiful in a bigger scheme of things. But they're not all off doing different things because they'd never get a hive built, and nothing would ever work that way, would it?
Exactly right. Although I am going to have to pull you up. People do call them the worker bees, but that's the patriarchy. We call them the sisters. You're
Uh-huh.
quite right there. Most of them are sisters. About in a hive in the summer of 60,000 bees, there's one queen, two maybe if she's not very strong, might have a princess, and about 500 drones. The rest of the sisters doing their jobs and doing their own jobs. They all have different jobs to do at any given time in their life. They move through it. So yeah, exactly right.
Mm. So with celery seed, chakra-wise, what would you connect it to there?
Um, well, genitourinary falls under sacral, and digestive solar plexus. And yeah, I mean, I think that's probably right. I don't think it has any big dreams in terms of being a spiritual leader, or switching on in terms of being able to see into the future or to perceive things in anything. For me, it goes switch it off. So yeah, I think it's very much in the physical body, in the sacral and solar plexus chakras for me.
Well, I'm going to give it a bit of a promotion. I actually find it works really well with the Earth Star chakra. Now, others may have heard me talk about this in previous episodes, but we have our base chakra, and that's about our connection to our sense of physicality and can we fulfill our basic needs? Can we feed ourselves? Can we pay our bills? Do we feel safe on this planet? The Earth Star chakra, generally located, they say, about 30 centimeters below our feet. It resonates with more of a brown color, and it's about our overall connection to planet Earth and all that dwells hereon. So, every human, every plant, every animal, every crystal, everything. And do we feel as though we're connected to Mother Earth in that way? Now, when we think about what we've been talking about with celery seed, and we think about Mother Earth and the Earth Star chakra, we normally kind of go, well, how much do I feel connected to the land? But our planet is covered 71% in water. And I actually would encourage people, if they're interested in working with the chakras and the Earth Star chakra, to use celery seed as a gateway for helping you not connect to the land beneath your feet, but the waters upon our earth and that sense of connection with them. So if you are interested in anything like whale medicine or dolphin medicine or seal medicine or turtle medicine or fish medicine or anything that's aquatic, or even you could look at, I don't know. I'm planting seeds right now, but I know you've been doing some nymph work recently. Could celery seed possibly go into a nymph blend? And I'll get your opinion on that in a moment. But I think connecting with, we came from the earth. We came from the waters where life began. Sometimes the oceans are referred to as the womb of Mother Earth because she births life from that way. Can we work with celery seed in this deeper way to actually help to birth things and birth our own original things because of that ability to help us separate and find our own special purpose and uniqueness and not get into a state of comparison as well? So, do you think that possibly celery seed could creep into a nymph blend, Liz, or am I pushing its agenda too far today?
Yeah, I think you are pushing it, but this when you do a devotion to a nymph, you use a scented oil. You don't use an incense. You do use a scented oil. Um, and whilst I don't think that it particularly is connected to nymphs, one of the first things that you do when you do priestess work is to learn water medicine. And so because water is purification, of course, you do, the priestess goes in, or the Oracle of Delphi cleansed herself in the Castilian spring, and so she's going into the water. But what's all of the water medicine going through? That is definitely a thing. And if you think that there are nymphs in springs, nymphs in the sea, nymphs, there's all many different water spirits, all with different personalities, and you might not get the connection to the like the nymph herself that way, but understanding her realm I think that would be an interesting way to use celery.
I want to take you off on a tangent for a second. We're talking about the water element. What other essential oils do you feel would resonate with or be really good for the element of water? I think cypress definitely has a bit of a flow to it. Blue lotus, which we have done an amazing episode on blue lotus, which no one will ever hear because after an hour and a half of talking, guess who forgot to hit record for the whole thing? So we're going to re-record that in a few weeks. But that would have a water energy to it. What other essential oils and absolutes would you feel would have a water energy to them?
I think the most important water oil of them all is rose. So the Aphrodite rose from the water, and it's all about the emotions, as you say. Cypress is a tree, though, and earth medicine. Let me think. What else would I use? I think spearmint. It depends what aspect of water I'm trying to create. So, for example, if I was trying to create the aspect of a pool, a still pool, and scrying into the stillness of the pool, I'd probably go violet, but violet isn't a water oil. If I wanted to create the sense of the sea and the foaming sea and the idea of waves and aquatic that way, I think I'd go spearmint. So it depends what you're trying to create, really.
Yeah, very hard. And one thing, we haven't done an episode on this. I don't know if there's enough content for us to do an episode on this. I know that you can get seaweed absolutes and a seagrass absolute I've seen somewhere. I don't know what benefits they have apart from they definitely smell like the ocean.
Well, I don't know the answer because I have never used them, but I am a big advocate of seaweed full stop. Very, very detoxifying. And shortly after I had my oldest two children, I would just have horrific cramps in my legs all of the time. I still have restless legs, but these were dreadful. And somebody suggested to me seaweed, and I took to putting seaweed in my bath, which made it like a mud bath, and the bath was permanently filthy, no matter how much I cleaned it. But it really, really helped my legs. So I think probably cramps and stuff like that. So it would be interesting to explore it.
Yeah, it would for sure. Anyway, we've deviated from celery seed. Is it an oil you think people need to have, or is it just a one that if people are interested in detoxifying, if maybe they've have some urinary issues, if they're playing around with skincare, I might have to get your mum on an episode because she might disagree with what you're about to say. But is celery seed something we all need?
I think that everybody benefits from this one.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's one that everybody needs, but I genuinely think put a couple of drops in your skincare, you will love the effect of it. And yeah, if you suffer from things like premenstrual bloating, down in your stomach, but also sore boobs. I can't remember what the guidelines are about breastfeeding, so I'm going to say this and say look it up and check that I'm right if you are guiding, but I'm pretty sure that it makes the flow of milk easier as well. So I think that there is guidance around celery seed, and I think it's probably one that they advocate for breastfeeding. So again, you could make celery seed tea. You could put a drop of celery seed in some honey and make a celery seed drink that way. You could make a topical cream, put compresses. Compresses are fantastic. We hardly ever talk about compresses, but in this, for this kind of detoxifying, compresses are fantastic. So you would get a towel and put it into warm water so that it really gets nice and warm. And then I would put like oil, celery seed in some carrier oil onto the boobs, and then put the heated towel on top. That is fantastic as well. And same would apply for if you've got a bad back, if you've rheumatoid back, or problems in your legs. What happens when you apply heat is the pores open. So not only are you moving the toxicity through, don't forget we're going to move it through the urinary system. That's what it's going to do. But also you are encouraging the skin to sweat. So then that pushes toxins out that way as well. And it really helps to relieve pain. You could I can't think of a reason why you would use hot and cold compresses together with celery seed, but I will explain what hot and cold compress is because we're talking about compresses. So you would do your hot compress, and then you would put, while that's heating, you would put in your cold towel into cold water, squeeze it out, replace it, put it on. So what happens is your warm one opens the pores, the cold one closes them, opens them, closes them. Fantastic if you've got like an abscess or something where you need to draw toxicity out that way. So hot and cold compresses would be fantastic that way too.
So just to clarify, when you're using the hot and cold compressors or just using hot compressors, where are you putting the essential oils in relation to them?
So you can. The original guidance used to be to put your essential oil into the water and then to just pull up the water into the towel. But the essential oil doesn't dilute into the water, and B, it's not very concentrated. So I tend to do them in isolation. I dilute the essential oil into my carrier, put that where I want it, put a hot compress on, and incidentally, you could use a hot water bottle just as well. And then you're not going to lose that much oil when you take it off. So that's done. Just put the next cold bit on, then warm one, and then cold one.
Yeah, beautiful. Awesome. Well, Celery Seed, I get the feeling that it has some potential. I think if someone doesn't have it, it's worth grabbing yourself a good quality bottle of it, seeing how it speaks to you on whether you can add it to some of your blends, fill in the body, or whether in meditation, it brings something new. As we said, it's an oil that hasn't been explored that much, and I think that it could be one that has some secrets that even we haven't unlocked in this conversation today from a more holistic level as well. But hopefully that's been insightful and given a few people a way to use celery seed. Is there anything else we need to let them know about celery seed?
No, not really. I think it's one that I would say go and try. Quite often I'll be the person who goes, no, you don't need it. But there's no issues with sustainability with it. It's very easy to produce, and it lasts fairly long amount of time on your shelf. You probably get about 4 years of shelf life out of it. So I would go and get a 5 ml bottle and give it a go.
Well, thank you very much for joining us on Fellowship in Essential Oils. We're not going to keep you any longer. You're going to go off and find your bottle of celery seed. But we will be back next week when we dive into another amazing essential oil gifted to us from Mother Earth. Until then, take care and blessed be.
Bye bye.